Today we're going to have a look on how to send program changes from Ableton to the Yamaha DTX Multi-12. It happens quite often that during a concert we have to change patches on our drum pad. This might happen once or twice in the whole show, maybe for every song, or maybe even multiple times within one song. Now, with everything going on stage, it can be quite easy to miss those two little buttons and forget to change the patch. So if I'm using a computer to run backing tracks anyway, why not let Ableton take care of the program changes as well? This is very simple to set up, but before we get into it, make sure you watch my video on how to connect the pad with Ableton properly first. Let's get started. Before we do anything else, we quickly want to check a setting in Ableton's preferences. In the linked MIDI section, we need to make sure that the track output for the Yamaha DTX Multi-12 is set to on. Now we can use an empty MIDI track and set up the routing. The MIDI from section can be set to no input. This is not necessary, but I always like to do it to avoid confusion. The MIDI 2 is set to the Yamaha DTX Multi-12 port 1 on MIDI channel 10. Now, by double-clicking, we can add a dummy clip to the channel. A dummy clip simply is a MIDI clip that doesn't contain any MIDI notes, but carries other information. In our case, the program changes. The program change function can be found in the notes section of the clip information. We have three values here: bank, sub, and program. For the Yamaha DTX Multi-12, the bank always has to be set to 126. Under sub, we have three options. Sub 1 refers to the factory presets stored on the Yamaha DTX. Sub 2 refers to the user presets. And Sub 3 refers to user presets above 100. This allows us to select patches above the number of 127, which is the highest value we can send via MIDI. Program simply refers to the number on which you have saved the patch on your pad. Let's just quickly set this to factory preset 15. To avoid confusing the pad by sending this program change over and over, I always turn the loop function off. You also want to consider the quantization in the launch section. While it may sometimes be appropriate to have a sound change on the downbeat of the next bar, if you play slightly ahead of the beat, you might hit a note too early for the patch change. For this reason, I like to set this value to none, which means the patch change happens at the exact same time I trigger the clip. For demonstration purposes, let's quickly set up two more clips. To save time, I simply create a copy of our existing clip by dragging it onto the scene below while holding down the Option key. Let's go for submenu 2, program 4, which relates to user preset 4, and submenu 3, program 2, which will relate to user preset 102. Now, if I trigger the individual scenes, you can see how the patches change on the drum pad. The great thing about Ableton's program change function is that I can have multiple MIDI tracks that send program changes to instruments all over the stage. So whenever I start a backing track, I know all the instruments will be on the right settings. The downside is that Ableton only lets me send one program change per MIDI clip, which makes patch changes within a song a little bit more tricky. There's still two ways of achieving this. We can either use the IEC driver to trigger different MIDI clips with different program changes, or we use a Max for Live device to automate the program changes. We'll have a look at both these options in a separate video. And that's it for today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and check out my other videos. If you have any more questions, pop them in the comments below and I shall try to answer them. Thank you very much.